Okay, so the client calls after reviewing the shot and wants to change the gumballs to candy eggs. The first step is to reshape the original sphere. Then you will need to resimulate and recache the results. The client also proposes some compositing effects, which you can add using slam-cop filters. These can be applied to your rendering right in the scene view to make creative decisions for your final rendered sequence. So we're going to make a couple of changes here. We're going to go back to the object level here. Just click here and go Object. And we're going to change a couple things. The first thing we're going to do is, let's go back to frame 1, is the cup. We had 2 cups here, and we went with the shorter one, but let's imagine the client asked to go back to the other one, the orange taller one. So that's one change that we're making. The second thing we're going to do, now that change will flow through and actually come here. You'll see the object merge picks that change up. The next change we want to make is to this sphere node here. And if we go spacebar B, what we can do is let's just, okay, so let's press, we're in the select tool, press 2 to get point selection. We're going to select this point at the top. We're going to press T to lift that up. And if we zoom out a bit, just like we had before, let's go to the handle tool here, we have a radial sort of fall off that we can play with here. And we can tweak that there. And now we've changed that to eggs. If we go to copy to point, spacebar B, we look up, now we have a bunch of eggs that are going to fall into the cup instead of the gumballs. So the next thing we want to do is we could just do the bullet solver here, but we can actually jump ahead to the cache. And let's just change this to say eggs. And now we can go in and save to disk. And this will now cache the egg simulation. When we finish, we had to load it from disk, so we can start to scrub and feel what that looks like and actually just play through that as well. And you see we get some nice rolling of those things while we go there. And actually, one of the other things the client has sort of requested is let's go into here and let's change this to 120. Okay? And that creates a greater thing. So in actual fact, this cache, we cached it up only to 70. So let's recache that, and this will now cache it for the full 120. And that gives us just a little bit more of extension at the end of the sequence for the eggs to just roll around. So that's nice. Okay, so now that we have that, we're going to go to the USD export, and again, we're going to change this to say eggs.usd and save to disk. And because we've already cached things out, that's fairly quick. So if we go back to the stage here, we're just going to, let's just click on there and go stage. We can go in and add to this. Now, we could go back and change the spheres, the gumballs up above. But what we're going to do instead is we're going to go in here and we're going to reference. I'm going to put a reference node in here. And we're going to go and get the eggs. So in USD eggs, accept. Now when we first bring this in, we notice a couple things. One is that we have both the eggs and the gumballs. And that's because if you look in here, we have eggs sitting up there and gumballs sitting down here. Now, what we can do is we can take this reference and we can say, well, what is its primitive path for this new thing that we've added? And we're going to go geo/. And once we do that, instead of the eggs being added to the gumballs, they're replacing the old gumballs because they've now got the same name. And that's one of the things USD does. So if you give something the same name, you put it in the chain, it has to choose. Do I use one or the other? In this case, it chose the new ones, the eggs. And notice it already assigned the material that is associated with that. So that's fantastic that puts us already in that position. The other thing we can do is we might want to put some compositing effects on this. And the way we do that is this little button here called Slap Comp. You could go and create a Copernicus network, or you can use something called the filter list, which if I right click on here, I go new filter list, and then what happens is I'm able to go in and add filters as I need them. So I'm going to do HSV adjust, and I'm going to do a hue shift on that. So I can do that here. Maybe I make it sort of a bluish. So I can do that right in here. Or I can add, let's say, another one in here, and I can say, okay, in this case, let's bring the saturation down and make it sort of black and white. And I can turn these off if I want. I can turn, both of them off if I want. This allows me to explore some possibilities here within this sequence. Now, another thing that I can do is let's add in a glow. And again, you can see what the effect of the glow is, on or off, and maybe bump up the brightness to get that a little bit stronger in there. So this list called CopNet Filter List 2, this is something that actually can be applied. And if I close this, all I have to do is turn this on and off to either use it or to not use it. And this is something that's applied on top of my rendering. Now, I want to render everything out to disk, and in order to do that, I need to make some changes. We're going to go back to here, and we're going to change this to eggs, and everything else is good there. We're going to go to this one. It's 1 to 120. That's good. And we're going to go down to here. We're going to go Husk, Slap Comp, and we're going to change this to a filter list, and we're going to pick off of that. And under Image, we have a couple of them. This is filter 2 is the one we just did. So filter 1 was an earlier one. So we're going to use filter list 2. Accept. That doesn't affect anything here. But when we go to do the rendering that we have here, and we're going to come into here and go render to disk, and we'll see what the new setup looks like. Okay, so we'll be back in a minute to look at the final rendering and see how that turned out. Okay, so now that that is rendered, let's go to mplay again, load disk files, go to render, eggs, load. And here we have our sequence. As you can see, the filters have been applied, and we have our new coffee cup, and we have the eggs, and everything is working. So in this lesson, you've gone from building a coffee cup, simulating gumballs dropping into it. You've built up nodes and networks to create a flow of information from modeling through to rendering. And you've shown that you can make changes throughout that process and have them update within that flow of data. So we changed from gumballs to the eggs, we changed the coffee cup, we added filters. So you got a lot of flexibility in how you set up and work with things in Houdini. I hope this has been a good introduction for you to what Houdini is capable of, and we look forward to seeing you in other tutorials. Have a great day.